Hello guys, so today I'm gonna do a short test flight in the 757-200 with the modern Avionics. As usual, I'm already at the runway just to save time, and again I'm gonna do a quick Fmc setup. See, this is already pre-selected, that's cool. Just one VOR that I'm gonna enter. A very short route, my usual test route. Let's go for this approach, with this transition. Activate, execute. Looks all fine. Flight level 140, a low cruising flight. Confirm the V-speeds, and if you have a look here, the V-speeds appear here, but that happens only if you, let's see, in the options for Avionics, if you choose this setting. So that's actually unrealistic. Actually, you have to set the V-speeds by using this knob here, but just because it is so fiddly, I selected the automatic option, just so that you know. Alright, I made myself a shortcut to change the range. That makes life a lot easier. By the way, I love how those information plop out as you changed something, so you see what you're actually changing. Alright, flight director is on, auto throttle on, LNAV, VNAV armed. We will go straight to flight level 140. And let's actually have a look at the acceleration height. Now, when we reach the acceleration height, the plane will pitch down in order to accelerate to this next target speed. Now, because there is a mountain ahead of us, I will increase the acceleration height, so that this acceleration happens a bit later and I can gain some altitude before that happens. Okay, I hope I didn't forget anything. Flaps. Trim is 3.8, I have to set that here. Alright, we have set the flaps. Set that to reject takeoff, and I think we're pretty much good to go. And what I really love about this plane is the perfect takeoff logic. So when we reach 400 feet above ground level, the pitch flight director will command a speed of V2 plus 20. So you will see this figure change to 161. Yes, 161. Or at least we will pitch for that speed. And then, or not until we reach the acceleration height, this speed will be changed. So let's just see how this works out. fuel config. Okay, so we have to turn those guys on. And yeah, let's give it a go. So, takeoff thrust. Maybe I'll plop this out, just to give you a bit of a better view. So first target speed is 141. We rotate. I'm going to follow the flight director. LNF. Gear up. Let's pause here for a second. You can see... Actually, I like to look here. You can see that the plane is pitching for V2 plus 20. So the pitch flight director, if you follow it, it will result in the correct speed. And here you have the radio altimeter, and as we reach 1,500 feet, see that? Now VNAV speed engages, and the next target speed is set, 210 knots. The plane, the flight director commands to pitch down, and now we can retract flaps. So the takeoff is just so much fun because it's so fluid with the behavior of the flight director. Okay, let's actually engage the autopilot real quick. Flaps are retracted, and there is a speed restriction of 210 knots. And VNAV speed holds the speed perfect just by adjusting the right pitch angle. By the way, there is a speed restriction, and I'm gonna delete this. Okay. Because the route is so short, it would have just made things complicated. By the way, I forgot to set the correct altimeter, which is... doesn't matter. But I have to do it now. See how this plops out as you change it. And then it plops back. So as you fly with standard, you can preset the altimeter. I really love this PFD. Couldn't be much better. If you have a look here, you can add ADFs or VORs as an overlay, and it will give you also the DME. So it's very informative. Alright, we crossed the waypoint with the speed restriction. Now we are accelerating to 240. Let's actually change the minimums to 500. see this green little needle shows where the VOR is. This just shows the deviation to our course. Now we've reached 10,000 and we are accelerating, but I will delay the acceleration because the curve is quite narrow. This is going to help LNAV to keep a better track of the course. And look, it will boost our climb. So if anybody knows a working shortcut to change the altimeter, I haven't found it. That would be really, really helpful, because it's quite fiddly to do it from here. And as we have completed the turn, I will close the speed window and let the plane accelerate to the cruising speed. So I already armed the speed brake, and I already set the auto brakes to 2. And now I'll close the speed window and let the plane accelerate. There's the top of descent already, and I have to reset the MCP altitude, and as I do so, the message in the FMC clears out, just as it's supposed to do. So now we have time to take a closer look again. You have your target speed, target altitude, your FMAs, your Mach speed, your ground speed, true airspeed, your wind, your next waypoint, the time when you will arrive there, the distance, then, if you so choose, the VOR. You can even have 2. Look at that. Deselect them just to declutter the PFD. Your vertical speed. Basically everything you need to know. All on one display, I love it. And the cool thing is that if you like, you can still switch back to the old system. And for me it is basically having 2 different planes, because it is so much easier to fly with a modern avionics. But still the plane is challenging enough. Alright, so let's have a look. Let's land with flaps 25. It's going to be a long runway. And set the ILS, which you do here. And I'm gonna turn this on so I can hear the signal once we are in reach of the ILS frequency. Okay, we've crossed the top of descent. Thrust is going idle. And the descent has been initiated. Let's see. See, this turn is quite narrow and I'm gonna set myself a speed restriction. Let's see how this is gonna work out. So at this waypoint, I wanna be at 190. So there's the landing speed, which we have set in the FMC. If this is set to auto, the plane will pick appropriate VOR stations. So let's actually see if it has selected this one. Yes, it has. This is the VOR station, and the distance is the same. Okay, but let's close this again. Alright, so I suppose I have to get some speed brakes to help the plane decelerate. But still the plane has leveled off to lose speed. It was a bit late doing this, but to me that's not a big deal. Maybe it works this way in real life. Speed brake is armed again. So now we are on the glide path again, and the plane continues to descend. So because I set a speed restriction here, VNAV should bug for that speed at a certain point. This is where the FMC and the Airbus is more transparent. Like it gives you, it creates little dots, deceleration points, and then you can see when the next target speed will be set. But I will just trust this FMC and assume that the next target speed is gonna buck soon enough. Alright, so auto brakes. Speed brake is armed. ILS is tuned in. You could even, you can resize it and you can even take this to a second monitor. Okay, so we are coming closer. Let's see what VNav is gonna do. And in the meantime, I have to check those speeds. So this plane, like Flaps 5, does not really slow you down. So I'm gonna target for 210 knots at around 12 nautical miles. By the way, I think I'll create myself a distance ring, and at that point I'm going to target for 210 knots, because then I can go flaps 15 and decelerate for the approach, for the final approach. So I think the plane should really... Ah, there it is. Okay, cool. Could now wait and see if it's gonna reach the target speed perfectly in time. But even if not, could just add a little speed brake. Still has 2 nautical miles to get to the speed. I will help it a bit. Let's go a bit faster here. Just as you would in a car. If you have made the turn, you tend to accelerate. Why not go back to 240? Looks like the ILS. And we can also hear it. So that means I can arm the localizer. Look, I love how the FMAs are so clear. Like it's not this tiny font. Okay. I'm gonna add some speed brake here so that the plane won't overshoot the localizer because it has just turned to the left to capture it. Alright, now I can arm the glide slope too, and I think I'll switch over to vertical speed. And just hold the altitude until we have captured the glide slope. We are already a bit slower than I planned to. Gonna do something very unusual now. I'm gonna climb into the glide slope. And by the way, now we can switch to the approach mode, and that is really cool because you have the map here, you have your ILS here. It's pretty much perfect. And now we have a DME down here. And now let's aim for 190, because at that speed we can go flaps 25. And now I will go flaps 5. It's easy to mess up the approach as the plane takes so long to decelerate. As I said, flaps 5 doesn't do much deceleration, which is why I just went to flaps 15. So what was our... yeah, 127 is the final approach speed. Still 10 nautical miles to go. But you know what? I will configure for landing now. I still have to set the missed approach altitude. So I think the lights are fine. Auto brake set to 2, speed brake is armed, gear is down, flaps 25, speed is coming down, slowly coming down. I think I'll already disconnect the auto. The auto throttle. order to get a feeling for the thrust setting. 7 nautical miles, and we are pretty much stabilized. So once more, flaps, gear, speed, auto brake, speed brake. And disconnecting the autopilot. A bit high and a bit fast.
1,000.
I'm trying to make small corrections only.
Minimums.
Of course we will land. It is a challenging plane to control, especially the approach and the landing, which is why it's so much fun.
Flight slope.
100.
Flight slope.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Landing was okay. So I got the upgrade just yesterday. I already had the old version of the 757, and it was really worth it, I have to say. I thought about buying the beta of the 767, but then again I'm just tired of all this beta stuff, to be honest. Like, I have a Flight Factor A320, which I bought like 2 years ago. It's still in beta, but this plane is gotta be the best payware airliner that I've flown so far, and having this modern avionics is really cool. Let's have a quick look at the landing. Wasn't too bad. seeing it. Except that I wasn't on the center line. But okay, I had a lot of fun and I hope you too. Thanks for watching and goodbye.